episode number 101 with Scott Stewart. Welcome to the Heads Up Poker Podcast. This is Steve Barton.
Hey, Steve, with Mike.
How you doing? And you're there with who?
Happy birthday, Steve, by the way, before I forget.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're having trouble getting this started because my disobedient child is in the background here.
Can you hear me right now?
I'm so poor. I can't afford a 2-bedroom place, so this is just the way it's at. Jonah, come over here, will you, for a second? Jonah, do you know you might finish this? Let's say, Jonah, your mama is so fat.
No, I'm not gonna do that one, but I know a really good one. Your mama is so ugly that R.L. Stine is gonna make a new Goosebumps book about it.
Anyway, Steve, so how was your birthday?
During the day, I went out. I did something I haven't done in a couple of weeks, and I went out and I played some live cash. So it was fun. I listened to a little hypnosis tape beforehand, and then went down there and did some live cash. And I've got a hand from that, but we could either do that or I got a few hands from online.
Well, who do we have a guest today?
We do. Scott Stewart. He's a return guest. We had him on almost a year ago.
Really? It's been that long?
It's been that long. Yeah, he was episode 55.
Wow.
So it's been
this is like the Manson family, man. Once you're in, it's hard to break free of us here.
It is. You
have a hypnotic power over all these poor guys. Is like, I'll do a podcast, and then you've been like texting him every 3 days for the last 7 months.
Yeah, little did they know that they were getting a podcast stalker, and that one podcast committed them to about 7 or 8 more for the rest of their lives. So it's worked out well for us.
Steve, you got to promise me something. If you hear the sound of a loud spanking and a child screaming in pain, you're going to have to erase it because I don't want the Department of Child Services to know about it. Well, this has put me in a good mood, Steve. I wanted to get on early to give a traumatic story of another bad week of poker, but hey, we've managed to miss that.
Yes. How did you play it all today, or probably not with Jonah? Huh?
No, not today. Just the cash game struggles continue here. So even dropping a 2-3 and trying to be real smart with the bankroll, it's tough. Well, last time we spoke, I was getting ready for day 2 of the $3 million tournament.
Yeah.
And I chipped up early in that, but did get busted in that, and then I played an 1100 turbo and busted in that, and then I've had like 4 straight cash losing sessions, I think. So yeah, it's pretty ugly.
That's been a brutal month and a half for you?
Yeah, something like that. It's timely to have Scott on here. Let's actually talk to someone who knows what the heck they're doing.
I got supersonic speed that I used to run to you. I stretched my arms for miles and miles.
Well, we may or may not have Scott. We're having some technical difficulties, so it might just be Mike and I.
Steve, is it really a wonder we can't get peace in the Middle East if 3 guys can't even get together and start a podcast? It's too complicated.
It might be.
And people are trying to bring good drinking water to the most backwards Himalayan village, and we still the basics still elude most of us.
Yes, no kidding. Do
you think Scott's really having technical issues, or is he like, I'm washing my hair? Is he trying to?
I have to wash my beard again.
Yeah, you could hear the strain in his voice. Oh, nothing's more fun than talking with you guys about poker, but
I know.
You can hear beers clinking in the background. He's there's better ways to spend a Wednesday night, Steve. Let's be honest.
I know. Well, I have a little cash hand from today. I figured it's right in your ballpark.
Okay.
We've been playing at this table. We've been really tight. I've basically been getting absolute crap hands or aces or kings. Is pretty much the way the session's been going. I'd fold for 45 minutes and then pick up ace king. And I remember there was this guy at the table who was He was wearing a Chevron shirt with a backwards Chevron hat, the gas company Chevron. He just looked like he just got off of work, probably pulled a bunch of money out of the ATM, and he wanted to sit down and play cards. He bought in for $200 or $300, lost that pretty quick, and he was buying it back in 100 at a time and losing it within 3 hands. That guy ended up raising me. I had ace king. I saw he had a behind. I made it to like 75, and then he shoved all in, and I called, and we both had ace king, and then a similar hand with pocket kings, got it all in pre-flop, 100 big blinds deep, and she also had kings. So that was the first 3 hours, those 2 hands. And then,
is there anything more frustrating than playing at like a lower stake game where no one's even gambly?
You know what? They were really gambly here, but it just happened that I know that the guy would have gone in with ace queen and ace jack, and he probably wouldn't have done that with ace 10, but he would have done that with almost every pair, probably like 6s and above. And so I felt good with the ace king. But with the kings, she would have called there with jacks, I think. She was pretty loose. So I just got unlucky that she had kings. But
okay.
This one was a really good table to be at. It was probably one of the best 2-3 tables I've been at, and just real gambly, mixing it up. Within an hour, there was 2 guys with over $1,200 in their stack. So it was
okay.
It was a fun table. But this hand, I pick up pocket aces. I get the ace of diamonds, ace of clubs, and let's see, clubs, diamonds, ace of clubs. I'm under the gun. We're 8-handed. At 2-3, no limit, I raise it up to 20, which was about what most of the people are doing. They were either making it 50 or 20. And with a good hand, I decide for the bigger sizing because most of the time they're calling. So I made it 20. The guy to my left, under the gun +1, he calls 20. Guy in middle position calls 20, and then the big blind completes for 20. So 4-handed, we go to the flop, and we got $82 in the pot. And the flop is 6-9 of diamonds, and then an offsuit 2. So 9-6 of diamonds, and then an offsuit 2.
Okay. I forget you have the ace of diamonds. Correct?
I've got the ace of diamonds, yeah. So I got a backdoor flush
Okay.
and an overpair, and the big blind leads out for 40. And then it's on us. What are you thinking here?
Probably raise, calling it off.
Okay. And what's your sizing on the raise?
Probably just the click back. No, I don't know. 120. I mean, again, it's all villain dependent. You've been playing at this table for a while. Is this? How are we ranging the donk leaders? Do he always have usually just one pair, like 9 or 6, or possibly 7, 8?
That's kind of what I was putting him on. He'd been there about an hour. He was kind of loose. If there's something between loose passive and loose aggressive, I guess like loose average. That's about what he was. He was playing quite a bit, so I could in the big blind there, completing with $60 and 60 in the pot, 65 actually with the small blind. I could see him completing there with something like 7-8. A lot of suited connectors. I would say all pairs. He's probably not 3-betting jacks. He's probably 3-betting queens plus. He's probably calling with ace king. So I think a lot of suited connectors and any pair up to jacks.
Is he ever just donk leading here, just like random nothingness, ace 3 suited, with like I forgot that there's a flush draw out there too. That could be the flush. You could have the flush draw. Yeah, thin the herd here.
Yeah. Okay. I go for the click back. By the way, we both started with over 300 effective. We had 300, 325, something in that range. I went for the click back. I make it 80. The guy to my left folds, middle position folds, and we get heads up. The big blind who led out, he completes. So he tosses in another 40 chips. So we've got 242 in the pot. And the turn is the jack of diamonds. So on the flop we had 9 of diamonds, ace of diamonds, offsuit 2, and the turn is the jack of diamonds. So we've got the ace of diamonds, so flush, got the nut flush draw now. And the big blind checks to us.
Probably a shove. I mean, I don't know if you want to. If you think he's got some flushes, I don't know. I don't know, Steve. I would probably just shove.
You would shove the turn here?
The villain check to you?
He checked to me, yeah. There's 242 in the pot. Let's see, we've got...
So pretty much...
We've got basically got 200 behind each.
I'm trying to think if there's any value in checking here. The only value in checking, I think, is if for some reason he has just 9x, he's probably going to fold here. But he might think that the diamond has scared you and just shove the river and try to steal it there. But, yeah, I guess probably just shove it in. I mean, I don't know. You could bet $115 and he calls. And then the river is whatever, a blank, two of spades, and he checks. And if you're worried that there's some baby flushes in his range, you can check there too, and maybe save yourself $100. Because if he's not going to check shove the turn, he's probably going to be checking to you on the river as well. But right now, I think I got the best hand, and I'm willing to get it all in there.
Okay. When he checked, I read him as kind of weak, and that's when I don't know if it was an Andrew Brokus video or something was going on in the back of my head where it was like, how many streets of value are you going to get out of this guy? And I thought 2, probably, but I felt like if I bet the turn that he wasn't going to call, and so I ended up checking. I checked behind. But
okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he would have called the turn or not.
So you're ranging him here as weak, obviously.
I think he's kind of weak. I think he's got something like a draw, like maybe 8-7, the open ender, or maybe he had like I don't know, like ace king with the king of diamonds or something, and he felt like on the flop when I clicked it back to him that. Although, would he lead there with that into 3 people? He probably wouldn't donk lead that.
I would think. I think all that would be a good reason to bet, because if he's got the ace king of diamonds, he kind of likes this turn card. He's going to want to see one more. He must charge.
And then he's always calling. Yeah.
And the same thing with the open-ended straight draw. There probably should be folding here to that right now, especially with the diamonds on board where they have counterfeit outs. But yeah, the weaker range is an argument for probably betting small here.
Like throwing like $70 or something into 242.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe that was a bet.
I know I uttered the words "I don't know" very frequently, but I don't know. But here, I do know. I mean, if he shoves the river, is there any rivers we're not? If we check behind here, which we did, are there any rivers where we're folding to a shove from the villain?
I mean, maybe a non-diamond, maybe like a. There's 3 diamonds out there. Maybe a non-diamond river if he just opens ships, 200 into 242. Can we find a fold there? Maybe a 9. I don't know. I don't know if I could fold.
Okay, so what is the river card? I'm really, I say that I don't know all the time, but I don't know the most profitable. Usually, ace is against a guy playing a strong range. I mean, a wide range. We should have the best hand here 80% of the time. So,
okay, all right.
Getting in is not if we get the chips in here. Obviously, we got we got outs if we're not winning.
That's true.
If he's already got a flush.
Okay, well, he checks, I check behind. With 242 in the pot, the river is the 8 of diamonds. So now the final board is Jack of diamonds, 9 of diamonds, 8 of diamonds, 6 of diamonds, offsuit 2. So we got 4 diamonds out there. We river the nuts, assuming he doesn't have Queen 10 of diamonds or 10, 7 of diamonds. And he bets 60 into 242.
I guess it's just shove, yeah.
Shove it? You're never like clicking it back to 120 or anything?
Well,
he started
guess
with
if he
200 on the river, and he bet 60 of it, so he's got 140 behind. Yeah, one click back, one that'd make it 120. Actually, he has 149 behind. So a click back on the river. Yeah, you might as well just ship it, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you were a little deeper, then I can see just clicking it where, if he's got just the Queen of Diamonds or the King of Diamonds, they'll be like, I mean, the King of Diamonds. I got a call here. This sucks. But if you make it big, you're letting him get away. But, yeah, there's a lot of money in the pot. It'll be hard for this guy to fold if he's got the King of Diamonds somehow.
Okay. Yeah, I ship it, and he tanks for a long time. He tanked for probably a minute and a half, and then I was sure he had the Queen of Diamonds or the King of Diamonds, and he finally folds, and he flips his hand face up, and he had pocket tens with the 10 of diamonds. So I was pretty surprised that he took so long to fold on the river, which was making me think that maybe it was a good shove on the river, because if he's taking that long with the 10 of diamonds, he's for sure calling with the Queen, right?
Right. And, well, you checking back on the turn it confused him for sure.
Yeah.
Because like most people there with the Ace of Diamonds are going to be betting the turn.
Yeah. Okay.
So that confused him as why he was thinking, well, you have nothing here with some frequency.
Yeah.
That's my guess anyways.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe I did play it okay. I wasn't sure about the turn though. I mean, with his specific hand, I think he might even be folding the pocket tens on the turn if I bet it. But maybe not. He might give one call there.
I had an interesting spot in the tournament here. We can discuss a hand
Okay.
real quick. You won't need to take your notes for this one because it's pretty fast. But I was up to about my high point of the day, which was 250K. At I think it was at 3,000, 6,000. So pretty good. Over 40 bigs, day 2 of a tournament.
Okay.
And I'm on and the guy to my left, he might be the chip leader in the room. He's got close to $1 million in chips. And it's this guy, 55, 60 years old. Seems like he's probably played a fair amount of poker, but he's not that great. I mean, running good, obviously, as anyone else is. But there's a couple times he played his big hands like super fast because he's just afraid of getting, playing post flop or whatever. Long story. I'm on the button, and I have pocket jacks, and I make it like 14,600 or something like that, 2.5x, 2.6x. So I can't remember exactly.
Okay.
And this guy is in the small blind, the main villain with $1 million chips. But to his left is another guy who's like a solid pro, middle-aged Asian guy. I don't know if he's a pro, but I've played with him quite a bit. He seems decent. So this guy has like 600K. So I put in 15,000 something, and this guy just shoves.
Huh. Oh, are you there, Scott?
Why do I feel like this is like a Patty Hearst situation where he's locked in a closet somewhere,
Let's stick
Steve?
to the hands and not with my personal problems. Thank
The
you,
man
Mike.
sounds like he could be in duress somehow. And all you want to do is ask about hands here?
How the hell are you, Scott?
Life's been good the last couple of months, if you guys haven't noticed.
Yes.
Yeah, we want to talk about that. Sure.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Where are you now? Are you somewhere off in WSOP circuit world in a hotel?
No, I'm back home. I got back home 2 days ago. I I actually thought I was going to see you in the Tahoe circuit, but I was up there for the whole time, and then spent a week in Denver. I had some fun.
Yeah, that's right. I was telling you I was going up there. I've had a really rough stretch here where all my little travel plans have had to end because I've had a bad stretch in cash where I'm get back to the grindstone, $30 Bovada tournaments and 2-3 cash before I can justify traveling.
Oh boy, why don't you open yourself up a beer?
Yeah, really. I don't know. Take a mallet to my forehead would help too. But so how did Tahoe go? Any good results there?
Yeah, I cashed in the re-entry event and got semi deep, and then just everything else was a total brick.
Sounds like you take it well. Well, let's go back to your big score here.
Sure.
That was how was it? About 2 months ago?
Yeah, I think it was about 2 months ago. I kind of lost track of time in the last couple months.
I feel like I deserve some credit. We were near the end of day one, and we were both talking about. Neither of us have had a six-figure score. And sure enough.
Well, that's. I think it's if I'm going to win a tournament in California, you somehow have to be there in cash, and then I go on to win. That's somehow how it works.
Yes.
Adds to the fun for sure. So how did your tournament go? I know you had. I think you were headed into day two as the chip leader. Am I remembering that properly?
Yeah, I was second in chips, and the guy that was first in chips starting the day was on my direct left.
That's right. So, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the day started a little rough, and then it went the right way, and then back the wrong way, and then when about 21, 22 people left, it started going the right way again. So I took a flip situation where I knew the guy had ace king. I actually had pocket threes, and I called off about 18 bigs with threes, if you can believe that. But that was with 18 people left, and I had such a weak table compared to the other table, where I knew if I had over 30 bigs, I was going to be able to make a real good run at it. And I ended up winning that race, and after that, I really took over my table. So by the time we actually got down to the final table, I was chip leader of the tournament, and in a really good situation.
How was that final table in terms of any pros, or did you have a definite skill advantage there? Or?
Definitely had a skill advantage. There was two people I was looking out for, and sure enough, we ended up getting three-handed with those two. So the guy that got third was kind of low going into three-way, and I was raising a lot of pots. So when I raised the button with ace king suited, which I didn't get that many big hands, but obviously ace king suited is ace king suited. And he just shoved, I want to say 18 to 22 bigs with ace-6 off, and I held. I mean, luckily, it didn't take too long, and then probably the guy I was most, I would say weary of, I don't want to say fear, but weary of, was the guy who did play heads up, and he played real good at the final table, but when it got to heads up, we chopped. It was, we took $105,000 each and then agreed to play for the $10,000 seat in February.
Oh, nice.
So, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's a nice little aspect of it there too. You get
a nice little surprise at the end. I didn't realize it until we were like six-handed that was part of the package deal. So
yeah, the $3 million, you get a Mercedes at the end. You don't even think about that, and you're like, well, here's the keys too.
I didn't even know that. That's cool. Did you qualify for that?
I made it to day two. Yeah, then I busted day two pretty early.
Yeah, I threw a couple bullets at that and then got a little over it kind of quickly.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some people who probably could do some very big violence to your bankroll trying to make day two of that. I'm sure that would be annoying, going deep in that every day and not making the 6%, whatever. Very
true. But when we got down to heads up, we were so deep. We counted down. There was 8.3 million in play, and we were 10,000 chips difference between each other.
Wow.
It was crazy. I couldn't believe. So we looked at the numbers. We were gonna do 100,000 for second, 110,000 for first, and then obviously the $10,000 seat. But we decided to do an even chop, and I actually ran really good heads up and I caught a read on them when we were playing heads up. We were sitting across from each other. So I won in about 25-30 minutes, which was pretty cool.
What did you do to find that read?
He had a he had a timing tell with his right hand. So he had a timing tell when he would bet, and then the way he moved his right hand is what I picked up on. So I kind of like, I don't do it very often, but it was heads up. So I called him on the river with like 8 high because I wanted to see what he had. Because I thought he was bluffing, and he actually had, I think he had 10 high, so he was bluffing. I still mucked my hand when he had 10 high. But it paid off in the long run.
Yeah, because then you found it. Right
Did you have a financial backer sitting there watching where you called with 8 high? You're like, don't worry, I've got my reasons.
Yes.
No, actually, none of the people that bought a piece of me were there in that tournament. But what was really cool is because it's in L.A., my parents actually came up when there was about 25 people left and stayed for the whole time down to the finish.
Oh, that's really cool.
That is cool. Man, that's awesome.
Yeah,
man.
so that was. My mom was, my dad was having a few cocktails, having a good time, and a couple friends came up, and then my mom was like, she's so religious about watching me online. Anytime there's a blog or updates, she always watches. So she was totally in the action and thought it was so cool to see me in person. She's the only one that thinks watching poker is fun when you don't get to see hole cards.
Right. Well, that's pretty cool. Mom's on you. Did Mom cry at the end?
She cried a little, yes.
Oh, okay, that's sweet.
Right on. And what was your percentage of yourself in this one?
I had 70% of myself.
Nice. Is this your biggest cash?
Yeah, so this was my biggest cash by. It's funny. My previous live biggest cash. I've won more online than live, in one single tournament. But live was 33 the first time I won a tournament in San Diego, and then a month before this one where I won the 105 was I got 7th in the main event in Cherokee, North Carolina, for like 36 and change. So it's kind of been going on the uptick. So if we just keep going up, that's just a good thing, right?
That is,
of course.
It is. Yes.
Is this the first time you've negotiated a chop? Because I know those circuit events, they don't let you do that. You just play.
I've in a couple circuits events, we've actually stepped away from the table and then did like a saver.
Okay.
Like $1,000 or $1,500 saver. So the person I was playing heads up with, I trusted him enough to say, hey, we'll do this. But I've never negotiated a chop before. And that's what it was kind of like when we got down to the heads up and we counted down the chips. We're like, we are so close. And then I think the blinds were, I think they were 25,000, 50,000, and we had like 4.2 million each. So we were just so deep.
You had to make there wasn't any. You weren't trying to fight for an extra. Give me $2,000. I'm a poker pro here, buddy. Kind of stuff.
No, I didn't. And that was like we said. Okay, we'll do 100,000 for second, 110,000 for first, and then we said, we're both going to get the $10,000, or someone's going to get a $10,000 seat, which is going to offset the situation either way.
Right.
So we agreed to take 105,000 each.
Fair enough. Cool. What were the set payouts if you didn't chop it?
I want to say it was 122 for first and low 70s or mid 70s for second. I think.
Wow.
Yeah, you gotta just chop there.
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
Especially when
it's just the jumps were so big that it made the most sense.
Yeah.
So how is this? This is a big fat score for you, right? So I mean, how does this change things? Are you playing bigger cash games, or do you have a bigger piece of yourself these days, or have you just kind of put a little money on the side and just keep on doing what you're doing?
It's more like put some money on the side and for the future invest a little bit of it, and then kind of give me the freedom to do, not so much more of the circuit anymore, but go to the places that I've always wanted to visit. So I've actually never been to Denver, Colorado before, and I spent a week there, and that place is awesome. Luckily I had a friend that just moved out there, so kind of want to go to places that I've never been to that are, I don't want to say exotic, but places that are, more upbeat and a lot of cool stuff to do if I'm not playing poker.
Right.
Yeah.
So I went out to Colorado to play in an MSPT. We went down to Blackhawk, which is a pretty cool place, but we did that for 2 days out of the 7 I was there. So I've kind of in the next couple months, I've got some trips going to the Bahamas for the PCA.
Nice.
And then a poker cruise. I've never been on a cruise before, so I'm pretty excited about that.
No, are you doing the ante-up cruise, or what are you doing?
You know what? I don't know what it might be. That one. I know it's $1,000 buy-in, and then it goes out of Orlando, goes to the Virgin Islands, the British Virgin Islands, and the Caribbean.
Oh, cool.
But I don't know what kind of cruise it was. It was you could actually you could book the cruise through I think Norwegian Airlines, and you could use your total rewards card. So I'm diamond on that.
Oh.
So you get a really sweet deal.
Huh.
Nice.
You know, the funny thing is,
Pretty
6
fun.
minutes ago I was very happy for Scott, and now I hear the word cruise and Bahamas, and I'm just bitter and pissed off and filled with envy and rage.
That's fair. That's fair enough.
I'm going to be fucking driving Uber again soon. Okay. Anyways, no, I'm happy for you. So how else does this help your, like, if you wanted to like step up and play some? I mean, are you going down to Florida to play their big 3,500, 3 million? I mean, is this make it easier, you think, as like a resume builder to get backing for bigger tournaments, or is this?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would have that ability to do it if I really wanted to. I've never like even before I won my first ring down in San Diego, I've never ever been backed or sold myself before. So it was kind of a new concept to me, and then now thinking about some of the tournaments that I could play that I should have played over the years because I feel like I'm a pretty strong player. I can now do that. You know, it was kind of a bummer, but even before I played this Commerce tournament, I really wanted to play the WPT at the Legends of Poker, and I got like deathly sick. I actually sold I sold the action I wanted to sell, and then got so sick I couldn't play it, and then had to refund everyone after I was not bedridden anymore.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind of a bummer. But yeah, I guess I can. In retrospect, yeah, I'm gonna probably go to a couple places and play a WPT, or I've even looked into maybe going down to South America for the LAPT and playing in Panama or Chile or somewhere like that.
Right.
Oh, cool.
Do you have any other major life leaks you got to keep an eye? Are you a sports bettor or?
No, I sports bet occasionally, but I plugged that leak about a year and a half ago.
Okay, well that's good.
Was it profitable?
Yeah, it was so unprofitable. God, sports are so much better when I can just watch them and enjoy them and have a beer to it, not worry about if I'm going to win this $500 bet that I got information from someone that was wrong.
Yeah, exactly. What you said you might go out to Florida. Have you played out there before?
I did go out there for what's it called, the Seminole Hard Rock Poker Open. I did that. I want to say last February or March, somewhere around there.
My wife and I were just in Miami for 3 days. I didn't have time to play cards, but we flew out one day and then spent the day and then came back. It was a quick trip, but I want to go back and play some cards. Like go out there for a week or so. What are some good casinos out there?
But as far as I know, I've only been to obviously the Hard Rock there, and then also the Isle, which had really good cash games. They had real good 2-5 and 5-10 cash games. The Isle's, I believe it's also a dog track, or it might be a horse racing track.
And they have poker?
They have poker, yeah.
Huh, okay. So all the gamblers can come down and play cards when they're done?
Right. I mean, that's
I like that.
That's the dream right there.
I think Florida's got a weird poker culture like that, where you drive through like a major city and there's no casino nearby, but then your car breaks down and reels off into a swamp, and there's like a 300 table card room next door kind of thing.
Right next to the anaconda and the alligators. Now, those all in Miami, or are they up in Orlando, or?
You know what? When I went to Fort Lauderdale. I had a friend that had an apartment there, and I stayed with him through the duration. And I mean, he had a cool setup where the complex had a pool and a gym and stuff. Not saying I was going to the gym, but it had a pool.
Right.
Okay.
So, but the Hard Rock was about a 15-minute drive from there, and then there's obviously a lot of action where they run the series and everything, and then the Isle was maybe 10-15 minutes in the opposite direction from the place in Fort Lauderdale.
Do your friends ever torment you and hide the beers under the Stairmaster or anything like that?
No, because as out of shape I am, I'm pretty light on my feet, so I could probably catch them if I needed to.
Oh, okay.
Hiding beer from me. I've never heard someone say that, Mike. Well played.
You mentioned it, I couldn't help chuckling a little bit there. You look svelte and light on your feet when you're standing there hanging out with Big Brett Murray there for sure. So
Yeah, that's true. I've been playing poker with Brett since I was 17 years old. Man, we played on Absolute Poker and Ultimate Bet, and then Poker Stars, Full Tilt, all that, and we knew each other just from AOL back in the day. So it's a really funny thing. I don't know how you met Brett, but meeting Brett for the first time is a little overwhelming because he's such a big sweetheart. And then you see that he's 6'6", and he's Andre the Giant-esque.
6'6". No, he's like 6'9" or 6'10", I bet.
Yeah, he's just huge.
He towers over me.
Yeah, he's just such a nice guy.
This, by the way, Steve, is he's Jigmog on Carbon Poker. I think on ACR too.
On ACR, what is it? Jigmog?
Jigmog, yeah, he's Jigmog on ACR as well.
Yeah, Jigmog, yeah.
He's one of the better American grinders, anyways. But
yeah, he's been an online crusher for 10 plus years.
Well, we're glad to have you back. We were joking before that this podcast is like the Manson family. We don't let you get away so easy here. You were on once, and Steve's been pestering you.
Yeah, little
months,
did you know this was going to be a lifetime of me bugging you to come back on the podcast. When you accepted
We're like the Trump
that first
campaign
time.
here. We're looking for a few stars. You're our Scott Baio. Because the stars don't want to talk to us, but
Hey, I'm always available, guys. This is fun stuff. The banter we got going on is good.
What else do I want to talk about? Last time we talked a little bit about your starting in poker, but I always turn everything back to myself. But here I am. I'm starting over here. Steve bought me. I'm going to talk to Elliot Rowe, get some mental health coaching, and I want to go back to studying and doing all sorts of stuff. Because I realized I've got some good results, but pretty much I've lost a lot of money in poker, and then every 6 months I get a big score, which maybe isn't different than a lot of people. But money management. Regardless of how you are, at some point you gotta just win poker tournaments to make this whole thing feasible, though, don't you?
That's true. Kind of my money management stance is, obviously for buy-ins you usually go from 100, 200, 300, and then you jump to 500, 600, and then anytime it's over $1,000, I kind of tell myself I'm going to sell 25% of myself in a tournament. Is typically what I'll do. So the way I'm kind of set up or bankrolled is that really works for me. You're not overextending based on bankroll in my situation, but everybody has a different situation.
Right. If you ever gone through a stretch where you bust 20 straight live tournaments, and you say, okay, I'm just going to sit in my apartment in California and grind online tournaments until I have whatever, a 10K upswing or whatever it is.
Yeah, I've been there. Online poker is always going to be there, and if you know what you're doing at all, you're going to be in a good situation. Because online doesn't take as much time as live poker. Live poker takes so much more to it to figure out the ins and outs and then the angles to it. Just of saying, I can be a better live player because so many people are horrible. But I've been in that situation. It took many years to not master live because I'm not there yet, but to get much better than everyone else at live compared to online, because online was always going to be there.
What do you do surviving downswings? When you're just, is that what you do? You just stop playing live and you just go to online, or?
He drinks, Steve. For God's sakes.
Yes.
Yeah, if we're gonna hatch back to the old podcast, I gotta go on a 3-day bender and drink enough beer to say, okay, you gotta get back out there, stay away. And I think living in where we live in California is, if you brick 20 to 30 tournaments live, depending on which tournaments you're playing, yikes, in Southern California.
Yeah.
Well, I managed to do it, but I know what you're saying for sure. But
so let me know, because if you're due for that big score and you want me to buy some action, maybe let me know.
Okay, man. Well, I appreciate that. Now that's funny. So you think the Southern California is good for the tournament scene? Because I was telling Steve. I sent a couple tweets out. Oceanside, California, we had a little 200K guarantee or whatever it was. I forget.
Right.
And there were some. There was a lot of bad players. Don't get me wrong, but there was like Joe Sirac was here and Byron Caverman. And I'm like, how the fuck did these people? What are they doing here? And this is like the WP Deep Stacks is like the WSOP circuit event. I'm guessing
Yeah.
it just happened to be in the area. I don't know, but I don't know. I kind of feel that I might have seen you at the Hawaiian Gardens too. Their little big tournament they had, whatever it was, and it seems like there's a lot of pros in Southern California though, right? Or is it still? But the tournaments are still there's still so many bad players that you see the tournaments as wild.
There are pros, and then if you obviously if you play enough, you're going to learn who they are and who to stay away from. I know what you're talking about. I experienced the same thing when they played They almost had the exact same tournament at the Bicycle Casino. It was an $1,100 buy-in. I think it was 200 or 300K guaranteed. They had multiple starting flights.
Okay.
And it was the same thing where I looked around and I saw Joe Sirac. I saw players. I said, there's a lot of good. What's going on here?
Yeah.
This is not LA-esque. It's supposed to be people with too much money that wear too much Versace.
Yeah, I believe if you've ever had like a score of like $500,000 or more, you should not even be allowed to like enter the poker tournament where it's like under $1,500.
That's true.
It wouldn't be good.
Yeah, I wonder if I feel like maybe the WPT or some of those things they have people under. I don't know if it's under contract or something that'll come out to those kind of events, because I did notice the same thing when I was playing at the Bicycle in LA, and that was right before that tournament in Oceans.
Yeah, I think it is. And, poker players like playing poker. I just played with Phil Locke all day one of the little $350 buy-in. And, of course, there's value. And I'm sure he could have just afforded just a buy-in day two, but he probably wanted to play some poker.
There you go. I went to the conference and played the triple stack today, and James Woods was one table over.
Oh, yeah, speaking of yeah, he loves the game.
Yeah.
That's interesting. We kind of came into this because I've been having this conversation lately, and there's one guy who's kind of giving me coaching and advice. He's like, he's already washed up at 23. He's like, I just don't. You have to love the game. Are you still? Obviously, we all get stoked when we're running deep in day two of the Chip League, going for a 6-figure score. But it seems like you like this job, right?
Yeah, I do. I love poker. It's something that I've never grown tired of. I want to say yet. I'm 28 years old, coming on 29 in January, but I'm still yet to say I'm sick of poker. I'm gonna take a break. I'm always just saying, when's the next tournament? I want to, because I've played some cash games where I said, okay, I don't want to play cash games anymore. It makes me hate life. But tournaments, I don't know what it is. Maybe the thrill of it or something. But I still have not. Been
There's
tired of it
nothing like shipping a tournament. There's no feeling like it.
Well, that's great. That's definitely an asset to have going down the.
I think it is. I think you really need to have a love for it, because I definitely have friends that, since I've been 21, I've been going to Vegas every year. Not for the whole time or anything, but we go out there and we spend from 2 to 5 weeks out there, and we all loved it. And then now a lot of them are working real jobs, or they're like, I'm getting kind of sick of poker. I don't want to do it anymore. So you got to have the passion for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and and a lot of people, of course, who are good at poker are smart and can just make more money doing something else. So you have what's keeping you in has to be the love of the game, I think, for a lot of people.
That's very true.
Yeah. How about studying? Is that something you still do, or just talking hands with friends, or do you ever find yourself watching I don't know, some top players' Twitch channel, or?
You know what? I want to say I would talk hands with friends, and then I have a little group chat on Facebook where I've met some good friends over the years that we still will talk poker, and then a couple of them live outside the country, like they live in Colombia and still play online. And then, I have a couple people that are actually really do study the game, where if there's some kind of new play or new, I don't know, I don't know how long ago it became where everybody peels from the big blind.
Right.
When that came out, I started doing it myself, and I said, well, I guess that kind of makes sense when people only raise so small, but at the same time, poker's still poker. But I don't want to say I'm a student of it or study it, but people I know do, and then it kind of rubs off on me a little bit.
Okay, I like that. Good lazy man plan. Just hang out with some smart people.
Right? Let the smart ones figure it out, and then we'll talk about it. I'll pick their brain.
Yeah, I was just wondering because there's people who say, well, if you're not totally studying all the time, poker changes every few months. It'll pass you by, and if I go through a stretch, I'm like, Jesus, I just got to tear it down and start over and figure out what people are up to. But it's never changing that radically. Where if you just try to find out where people try to range people and make the right plays, right?
It's true.
Yeah. Right on. Well, let's go ahead and wrap it up here, guys. If you want to follow Scott on Twitter, you can follow him at YaBoyStew. And Mike at Mike Sneideman. Myself, at HUP Podcast. And yeah, thank you for tuning in. And here is your weekly motivational speech.
Don't be a follower, be a student, right? Take advice, but not orders. Take information, but don't let somebody, order your life. Make sure what you do is the product of your own conclusion. Excellent note to make. Make sure what you do is the product of your own conclusion. Not to do what someone else says. Take what someone else says, process it, think about it, ponder it. If it makes you wonder, if it makes you think, then it's valuable. Then when you go take action, make sure that the action is not what somebody told you to do. Make sure the action is the product of your own conclusion. If you'll follow just a little bit of those simple guidelines, I'm telling you, the learning process can be speedy, swift, powerful. Your learning curve can go up, and then applying it to your business, your life, your family, conversations, equities of all kinds. You'll find some progress like I did that first 5 years when I met a teacher willing to share with me, turned my life around. Progress I couldn't believe happened for me.